Welcome back to Gaskin Point. Today is day 9 of our New Era Bourbon Club Advent Calendar, where from December 1st through December 25th, we'll be trying 25 fun, funky, mysterious samples. We're going to give tasting notes, we're going to rate them, we're going to try to guess what we're having, and then at the end of the video, we'll find out exactly what we just had. Let's get into day number 9. On the nose here, it does smell like a bourbon. There is some sugar cane and some really nice rye candy on this, but there is a lot of caramel, a lot of maple, a good amount of oak, some baking spices on this, some cloves and lavender, so a little bit of those herbal notes, but not a whole ton. Definitely getting quite a bit on this, though. This smells good. It could be a high rye bourbon. This could be a low rye. We haven't had any ryes yet, I don't think. We've had 1 or 2 so far, so really not many. Overall, it smells solid. I really like it. Let's try it. Interesting. Very interesting. That proof, that's hard to ascertain on the first sip. It's probably a rye. And I'm saying that because I'm getting a lot of sugarcane. There's some baking spices going throughout that, but the typical rye candy, the sweeter rye flavor profile that I get and I really like on ryes, that's really all this is giving me. I'm almost thinking this is like old Overholt 10. Like, that's immediately where my mind is going here with that rye candy. There are definitely some figs and plums in this, some like darker fruits on this, but it is relatively light, probably like a tertiary element to everything else going on here. Overall though, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say that's probably a rye, and it's probably around 110 proof. It's definitely in the American category. There's no way this is a Scotch. I know I keep saying that everything that I don't really know is Irish whiskey. It's Gold Spot. This isn't Gold Spot. This is definitely something in America. I'd be surprised if this isn't a rye. I'm really thinking this is just Old Overholt 10. It's really similar to what I remember Old Overholt 10 being. I did a short on this probably a month, 2 months ago at this point. It's been a while. But really just a ton of rye candy on the front palate, and then it kind of just dies, and I wish the finish on this was a little bit longer. I think if the finish on this was longer, we'd be probably in the mid-8s. But this is probably going to be in the mid to high 7s just because it kind of just dies on the flavor profile. Let's take a second sip here. It's a rye. It has to be a rye. Or it's a really high rye bourbon. I think this is a rye. The flavor profile, it starts off punching in the beginning. It kind of just dies in the mid palate and late palate. Very sweet. Sugar cane. There's rye candy. A little bit of like the seagrass, those like tropical grassy flavors here. But really, primarily, it's sweet. There's caramel. A little bit of oak coming through this, not a whole lot. Like the lightest bit of peanut, and I'm probably just telling myself this because I think this is Old Overholt, which I believe is a Jim Beam product, which always has peanut on it. And so I'm going to tell myself that that's on this because I think this is Old Overholt 10. Which is to say, I'm fairly confident this is Old Overholt 10. It might not be anything like that. I have no idea what's in this. I have no idea if this is anything close to Overholt 10. But I'm pretty confident that it tastes like it. I'm going to go ahead and say this is a 7.6. It's really nice. The flavors are great. I think it's a rye whiskey. I believe this is about 110 proof. But it's not blowing me away, and I think if the finish was a little bit longer, we'd really be battling with something amazing. I'm not even going to take a third sip here. I'm very confident. Let's find out if I was anywhere close. So I'll put on your screen as I'm looking here. Day 9, there are some comments here, but we'll get into the photos first. Let's find out, what are we having? What the heck? Old Forester. H6. Huh. So it's 129.2. What the hell? What the heck? That does not taste anywhere close to 100. What the heck? That's day 9, right? Huh? Okay, so we got 130 proof bourbon, and I thought it was 110 proof rye. That's really interesting. There's typically a lot of cherry and hot oak on this Old Forester single barrel picks that I have. This isn't anywhere like that, which is super interesting here. Well, there are some comments here, so let's read them, and I'll take a third sip here and just think about this more. Wow, that's very surprising to me. You have Old Forester single barrel strength, quote, the 2020 Fixer Elixir. So this must be an older pick. I would assume a 2020 pick. Warehouse H, floor 6, 129.2 proof. Now, if you don't know about the warehouses, Warehouse G and H are not heat cycled. All the other ones are. And so the other ones are much more controlled and typically produce very consistent products. H and G, they just let temperature have fun there. And so H8 is my favorite, and I've had a lot of amazing H8 picks. I haven't tried an H6 before, but this is good. It's not blowing me away, and it's tasting really low. But let's see. So it's part of my Killer Store Picks flight. This barrel has a Minnesota cult following. Selected by South Lindane Liquors during COVID, spent 45 minutes in a line on New Year's Eve waiting for the store to open, and proceeded to kill that bottle the same night with some friends. Wow, that is amazing. So that was written by the admin that shared the New Era Bourbon Club advent calendar with me, Stormbringer. That's really cool. An amazing story behind it. It really is a very crushable whiskey here. I'm surprised that this is a bourbon and 130 proof. I mean, I hope other people will try this and see if they agree with me that this really does taste like a rye. And it tastes like a good rye. And I can almost think that this is an Old Forester Single Barrel Strength rye whiskey. Like, one of the, I think, yeah, we have one right here. It almost tastes like this, but it's not this. It's a bourbon. It's 129 point, what was it, 6 proof bourbon? Let's take one more sip here. That doesn't drink 130 proof to me. I think it tastes like a rye. Maybe I'm crazy. It's an awesome pick, though. Definitely one of the best I've ever had from Old Forester. Thank you. And I hope you all learned something and had some fun. Hope you all have a lovely rest of your day. I'll catch you all in day 10.